Welcome back to Lombardi Sweep. We're all jacked up because it was trade deadline week. We recap an epic trade deadline. It's the Green Bay Packers making calls all over, getting in the mix of everything. And we will report all of the news that happened at the trade deadline here. Luke Reimer on the right, Trevor Land in the middle. I'm Zach Bruner. Janet Wilson is a woman on the streets coming up with more trade deadline news. She'll be here in a little bit. But let's just get into it first. Before we get into trade deadline stuff, let's talk about the Bills game. Packers, they did the unthinkable. They found a way to lose 4 games in a row. Not bad. They managed to keep it competitive. Mason Crosby missed a kick at the end to make sure I didn't get my score prediction correct, so I'm pretty happy about that. This is a game where the score, I think, doesn't indicate how close the game was, because I think the Bills left a lot of points off the board. Mm-hmm. But I'll start with this. I thought the offense did a lot of really good things, to be completely honest. I thought they did good stuff. They basically did what, I guess I've been talking about for a couple of weeks. So that makes me feel good, like with DeGuara. But I think this loss is on the defense, even though it's only 17 points scored. I think it's a defensive thing, right?
You only gave Josh Allen 217 passing yards or whatever he had and 2 interceptions. But they scored 5 times in a row after the 3-0 to start the game. They don't score one, if one of those drives, especially before halftime, that bomb to Stephon Diggs to set up that field goal. If they don't hit that field goal, I think it's a whole new game.
That was inexcusable.
Inexcusable.
Well,
you can't. The thing is, you can't have your corner running back not looking at the ball with his hands in the air, watching the guy burn him.
Well, I tweeted, the only thing you couldn't let the Bills do, you just very easily let them do right away. Mm-hmm. Just back up. As long as you force them to throw it underneath, they're not going to have enough time. Mm-hmm. Just that's it. That's all you got to do. Just be disciplined.
Well, on top of that, too, we saw I don't even know if I want to call it a tackle attempt by Darnell Savage when Josh Allen was running. I understand Josh Allen is a big guy. Darnell Savage might not be making that tackle. That's fine. But what that quote-unquote attempt was so pathetic. It reminded me in basketball of when people do that fake hustle to act like they're in the play when they want no business being a part of it. It's Trevor,
that was just
throwing yourself at that. It's over already.
Trevor, that was just James Harden defense.
Yeah, pretty much.
Move your arms a lot makes it look like you're trying. I get it. I've been there.
Mm-hmm. Everyone has.
I know. Yeah. You're in a crowd, in a concert, you don't want to jump. Just move your arms up. Makes it look like you're jumping. Just fake it.
I think the worst part about it, too, was he looked back he got past me. Yes, he very easily got past you.
Yeah, there's nowhere else he went.
Yeah. And So while I think this game truly, totally, fully is on the defense, offensively, again, we found out the team found out Elton Jenkins wasn't going to play 90 minutes before the game. And that's just one of those things. It's a killer, man. I don't fully know everything going on with Elton Jenkins, but when it seems like from every single report from everybody where it's a surprise, this kind of stuff can't be surprises. If he's inactive, that's fine. This stuff can't be surprises anymore, especially on the offensive line, as we continue to talk about how it's communication, both verbal and nonverbal, knowing the guy next to you is the biggest part of good offensive lines, and they continue to shuffle it, and they can't even drill it in practice because they thought Elton Jenkins was going to play.
Right.
So now Nijman's out there.
It's just wild that and I think we had the same exact conversation last week, but it's just wild that can happen. If it's fine that you want to try to play, but they need this sounds so childish for an NFL team, but they need to have a deadline of when. Tell us if you're going to play or not.
Well, also just talk.
Right.
This isn't getting better, by the way. Matt LaFleur had a press conference today. They asked him who's going to practice today, and he said, "I don't know. I haven't talked to the trainer yet." Use your cell phone. Text. He's because he had a meeting, so he didn't get to talk to him in the morning like he usually does. Figure it the fuck out. Have him tell somebody to tell you. There's no
But
communication. It's so frustrating.
It also feels like, and of course, I'm not an NFL coach, but it feels like as an NFL coach, you would kind of want to know who you're working with immediately to start the day.
Yes, you can't play at a practice if you don't know who's going to be there, because you can't run them through the scenarios where it's like, okay, we need to drill this so we could do this during the week, during the game. You can't do that. It's unbelievable. It's such amateur bullshit week after week.
This seems something like if you put the scenario and the quote up on a screen and you had to guess who it was, Matt LaFleur or Matt Patricia, when he was at Detroit, you wouldn't be able to tell if you weren't a fan of either team. Like, it's just, what, like, this is the NFL. What are we doing?
Yeah, Trevor, you're right. That's a Hugh Jackson quote.
Yep.
It's or Brandon Staley quote if we're talking people coaching right now.
But like, man, this is the highest level. This is the NFL. Good high school football teams, you have to tell your coach if you're going to take a piss.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they know where you are. If you have it, if you need to be excused, if you're not feeling good, you need to sit out of a drill. Like, everything, high school, college, all the way up, like, it's all the same thing. And now we're in the NFL, and it's like, truly, like, these are men. You have to treat them like men. And coaches in the NFL aren't really teachers usually, but they have to be, because these guys are they're kids. So many of these Packers players are fucking children. And it's like, that's the issue. Like, there's very few pros on this Packers team. And I feel like that could be a major issue at this point. Like, you have Rodgers calling out fucking Torre, saying he was Mr. Hustle or whatever it was during early training camp and stuff, because he didn't know how to practice and he didn't try. And now he's starting to try, and now he's like playing. Like, you have to teach these people how to be professional athletes. They don't come in from the fucking Mountain West Conference and know how to be a professional athlete. We're not even drafting people from Alabama, and the guys from Georgia suck. So like, it's so stupid.
I agree.
You can mold players, but if their personalities don't even work out, like, do you expect to mold the player and the work ethic and the personality? Like, that's not how this works.
But the thing is too, I think it takes it takes a certain person to live in Green Bay and to play for the Green Bay Packers just for the life outside of football. I think that's why fans get so easily attached to the guys who are actually like fun, like a Kurt Benkert or a David Bakhtiari or something like that. But really, when it comes down to it, how many guys of that are really, in the NFL and really want to, make their way out, or even on the team right now? Like, they're just not that influx of guys. And is it awesome that there's a football team in Green Bay, Wisconsin? Of course there is. But with that, and maybe this leads into the trade deadline talk. But you're not going to get those guys who have the big egos and can perform well. And that's what sucks about it. And if you draft them, they leave. It's all fucked up, especially with a team that's definitely not where I think all four of us might have thought that they were going to be at the beginning of the year.
Well, and to your point, Luke, I mean, look at the Milwaukee Bucks. They play in Milwaukee, and their biggest free agent of the 2000s was Greg fucking Monroe. Like, if you can't get guys to even come to Milwaukee, how do you expect grown football players to go to Green Bay? It just doesn't work.
It's an organizational thing more than anything. Like, people are willing to go and play in Green Bay if they're going to compete. But like, I go back to this point time after time, because this was the downfall of the Green Bay Packers, at least during this era. Like, they told Clay Matthews, they told TJ Lang, they told Josh Sinton, you need to take major pay cuts. You need to take basically the minimum to play here. And if you do so, and you should do so, is because we are the Green Bay Packers. We are historic. We are title town. We are going to compete for a Super Bowl. And TJ Lang talked about this pretty explicitly. It's like, you can only take so many pay cuts and do this shit so many times and not win a Super Bowl before you're like, I'm fucking done. And people are now done. Like, they want to leave. And that's why when you have a player, couple things. That's why, one, you need to utilize the fucking trade deadline so you can bring them here against their will. And two, like, when you have a player like Randall Cobb who wants to come back and he is a pro and he can teach people how to be a pro, it's unbelievable that everyone except for, or at least everyone in the front office was so against that. Like that was pulling teeth. That was Rodgers' demand. And people are like, wow, Rodgers did that for, Randall Cobb's 2 catches for 20 yards or whatever. It's like, no, you look around the locker room, there's nobody who knows how to be a pro. There's no one who prepares. There's no one who knows how to do anything. And Rodgers can't teach everybody. Like Rodgers needs to do some of his shit too. And Randall Cobb's a massive reason why the wide receivers are progressing at least somewhat. Sammy Watkins, similar. Like that's why he's there. He's not there to be Sammy Watkins from the Buffalo Bills. Like, and then you look at the defensive side of the ball, though. It's like, who on the defense is that? I don't know who it is. It's not Jair. It's for sure. Like he wasn't even voted a captain.
Like the only one, like the only ones that there's 3 options, right? For a defense, it's Adrian Amos, Devondre Campbell, or Preston Smith, and it feels like none of them are doing that.
I would guess Amos and Preston Smith, but also you look at Adrian Amos. He's an unrestricted free agent. He probably is counting down the days, right? Like he was at least one of the people who got paid. Like I don't know how the Packers retain him. And I think he knows that. And I think he's excited to leave soon. So it's like, truly, who are the leaders on defense? I suppose one probably is Devondre Campbell, but this is year two of him being here, and year 2 of him being a leader period in the NFL. Like he's been a guy who's bounced around because he wasn't that great.
He kind of he's like forced into a leadership spot here.
He is, for better or worse. And I'm not trying to say he's not a leader and not, doing it, but like he's learning on the fly as well. Like Aaron Rodgers talks about how he has meetings with other team leaders to tell them what to do. Aaron Rodgers is teaching the leaders how to be leaders so they can be leaders to the crappy people and the children that are running around. That's the issue. And then it's not like the coaching staff can do that because look at who the coaches are.
Aaron Rodgers is also being a leader to the coaches.
For sure. For sure. He's teaching Matt LaFleur how to be a head coach. There's only so much that
That's why he's all frustrated already and just like doesn't have anything else to say. He's done.
Exactly. And that's what I told. That's what I started off the show or last show basically saying I'm done with the Packers. Like Rodgers isn't like he's not doing his whole rah-rah speech like he did a few years ago when they were
down.
He's
not.
Like,
he doesn't want to talk anymore. He's done.
The writing's on the wall, and if it wasn't before the trade deadline made it pretty clear. And I'm not upset that the Packers didn't go get anybody. But if you're not going to go get anybody, then you need to sell people. I just can't stand doing nothing. Have a direction. Either prepare for next year or compete now. You can't sit here. That's not how it works.
And that's kind of like what the Brewers did this trade deadline. Zach, you can zone out. I'll talk about baseball for about 5 seconds here. But
I got you, Trevor.
But I mean, they look like contenders, and clearly the front office didn't think so. And they sold, but they didn't sell enough to restart, and they didn't buy. And we've talked about this ad nauseum. Luke and I talked about it when Devontae Adams was traded, and Luke said along the lines of, "You can't stay in the middle; you'll turn into like the Memphis Grizzlies." And we're staying in the middle, and look what's happened. Nothing. This isn't a shock. This isn't like a 1 year thing. This is going to continue to get worse until we pick a lane and stick to it, because this isn't working.
I agree. Maybe I zoned out, but
yeah, you agree, Zach. You agree.
Okay. I looked up. I wanted to find a feel-good stat, and here's my feel-good stat for the Packers this week. Devontae Wyatt, for the first time in his NFL career, has played back-to-back games of double-digit snaps.
Ooh.
12 and 10.
We're using first-round picks.
Wasn't there another one
ready.
that somebody hit certain miles per hour at the game? And that was like
Sure
the
they
first
did.
time. Yeah. That's We couldn't win, but someone on the field hit 22 miles per hour or something for like the
Yeah,
first time in history.
yeah, probably Goot running his ass to the press box after he heard one fan tell him to trade for a receiver.
That's awesome. And by the way, hey, 22. That's more points than we've scored in over a month. So things are
You're right.
progressing. We can get there. I unfortunately, yep. It's
Oh, okay, 20
it is
miles
what it
per
is.
hour. It was 20 miles per hour. Somebody on the field
Who
hit
was it?
that. It
Oh,
was
you don't know.
Puma. Can you stop?
Amari Rogers.
Probably Douglas when he ran past Allen. He didn't hit anybody, so he probably gained some speed.
Let's see. We've got 4.
It's got to be Diggs on the
Hold on.
post road.
I'm gonna go with John Runyon.
It's a video, so I have to like.
I'm going to
Nixon.
Slayton.
It was Keyshawn Nixon.
Who?
Keyshawn
Oh,
probably
Nixon.
he had a good game.
He
Probably
hit
in the
20
first
miles
50
per
seconds.
hour. 20.99 miles per hour.
Can I get
Damn.
21? What a bum.
Hey, leader. He stood up in front of the team. I think it was Keyshawn a couple of weeks ago after one of the New York losses, and he was screaming at the team like he's one of the leaders. And that's not me complimenting him. That's me talking about the Packers. Keyshawn Nixon's one of the team leaders. Good.
I'm surprised Stokes hasn't hit 20 miles per hour, catching up with all the receivers that burn him every week, but
He's usually stumbling, so it's harder to get your feet under you.
So I guess that's another upside of the game, I guess.
Hey, yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. But truly, I do think the Packers offense showed some things, to use that cliche. I think the second half was a very good half for them. And the reason for that is because they listened to this podcast and they started to use Josiah DeGuara out of the backfield and as a lead blocker. And believe it or not, it helped to clear holes. Who knew? To have a lead blocker to do that, to use a guy you drafted for that specific role in that specific role, Matt LaFleur is a genius. That's all I can say about that. It took a couple months plus a couple years, but we did
a couple losses.
We figured it out. Couple losses. That doesn't bother LaFleur, though. He's looking to go 1-0 each week. And I shit you not, I tweeted this out. Some people called bullshit on it. I read LaFleur's lips, and I'm pretty sure he asked Rodgers if he should be pumping up the Buffalo crowd. I think that's what he was doing on the sideline there. I watched the game back. He started to do the hand motion a little bit, and Rodgers told him no. But this week in Ford Field, he'll see the 3 Lombardi Sweep boys there. He's going to get the crowd going.
Mhm.
Dan Campbell's going to be running laps around the field. It's going to be a party.
he's going to get the crowd going, but only Luke's going to be cheering because Zach and I are cheering for the Lions. We ain't putting up with this shit.
True. I'm
I'll
cheering
never
for
cheer for
points.
I'll never cheer for the Lions.
Well, you're wearing
Not
blue
even
right
Jared
now,
Goff?
so I think you're already converting.
Carolina, baby.
Okay. You're telling me you're not going to at least crack a smile if Jared Goff gets loose down the sideline?
No.
I'd
Really?
like to think that
Really?
the C in Carolina actually stands for Campbell.
Sure does.
What is the end?
Sure does.
Never, as in never fire Dan Campbell.
Oh, I thought you meant. I thought it was just going to be the end at the end of his first name.
Yeah, sure.
Campbell never quits, but he spells quits with a C. Because
Or he spells grit with
are
an
we
N.
getting a FlurrySports sign in the crowd? I think we're going to get a FlurrySports chant going. The entire stadium's going to be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Get ready for it.
That would be hilarious because 50% of everybody would have no clue what we're saying, but all Lions fans would be in on it.
They just want. I believe Lions fans want something to cheer for, and we're going to give them something to cheer for better or worse. But yes, so the Packers leaned on the run. Josiah DeGuara was lead blocker. He played a season high, I think like 30 snaps. I can tell you in a second here. He played 30 snaps. Yeah. So, and he was run blocking for 14 of them. I assume they're going to continue doing that. I assume we will see a lot of rushing yards on both sides this week in Detroit. Detroit just fired their secondary coach. We'll see if that does anything. But yeah, I don't think there's anything. I don't think anyone truly. I mean, you guys tell me this. After that Bills game, did you come away feeling any worse about the team, or was it
No.
just about the same?
Yep. And that's gotta be because the Bills are maybe the best team in the NFL. Like, there's no expectations, no reason to even be in this game or win this game. So to see it be, such a close game is nice. But I think, a lot of Packer fans might be in the same mindset that I am. I think we were just happy to see Aaron Jones get the ball, which was incredible in the second half. And alluding to your point, Zach, that's kind of when the offense got picked up a little bit, and DeGar is getting moved around, used in positions that he's drafted for. It's crazy what happens, what works when you use guys who know what to do in their position that they're, raised in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we just keep saying it, like, just give Aaron Jones the ball. Like, good things happen when Aaron Jones touches the ball. And we talked about the Washington game where it's like they started the game off giving him 4 touches right in a row. It was a good play, first down, 5 yards. And then this 4th touch went for like 1 or 2 yards. And then they panic. Like, scratch that. It doesn't work anymore. At least this week, I think most of the time is pretty positive chunk yardages anyway. But like, as long as the Packers can be stubborn with Aaron Jones in terms of keep feeding him no matter what happens, I think he's good enough to make something happen. And as an offensive line, it's so much easier to run block than pass block. So when you have an offensive line, and fucking against the Bills, who just have a bunch of speed rushers anyway, like when the offensive line's getting beat on the edge, you just need to run the football. And I'm glad the Packers did that. Mm-hmm. They just did that a little bit too late, and it resulted in not enough points. So, it is what it is. And apparently, this was going to be a massive Christian Watson game. He got concussed immediately, still in concussion protocol, not practicing. Aaron Rodgers, I think last week, though, talked about how one performance in primetime can completely change everyone's outlook on a team or a career. So I think that was the mindset going into that game, and they wanted to make Christian Watson a thing. But then Christian Watson did his thing, and he got injured immediately. And the opposite effect happened, whereas Romeo Doubs then made a massive catch. I think people are impressed with him. Torre made one good play. People are already feeling better about him than Christian Watson. It's,
It's
was Christian Watson a mistake, guys?
It's interesting that we're more worried about fans'
Really?
perception of fucking players than a game plan that's going to win you the game.
I mean, kind of yes and no, but like, I think they knew they probably didn't have a chance to win anyways. But with all of these super young players, and again, they're all super young, they're all children. It's all a confidence issue. So like, they keep going back to Amari Rodgers is bad because he lacks confidence. I think that's wrong. I think he's a bad player. But like Romeo Doubs, you could clearly see him losing confidence and thinking and playing slower and dropping balls. Like, this was a confidence boost. So like, if you get him that confidence boost, a really big touchdown, if they ended up winning because of his touchdown, he's probably a star going forward. Luke brought up the point last week. If Christian Watson catches that first deep ball, like, is he still playing? Is he still, how are the Packers doing right now? Like, that would have been a massive, way to start your career. It's almost like Randall Cobb's first career game when he was electric immediately, Like, if Christian Watson catches an 80-yard or 75-yard touchdown right away, people are like, oh, shit, we got a guy. But instead, it's like, oh, shit, same old Packers. It's just completely, it's infectious either way, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, speaking of infectious.
Oh, boy.
It's not good. I got an announcement to make.
See where this one goes.
Yeah, I went to the doctor today. I was going to make a trade deadline joke, but it's not there. I got the setup. I'll figure out the punchline later. But the Packers did nothing, obviously. There's an old video, though, that resurfaced from when Mike McCarthy was the head coach. And they asked him what the trade deadline week feels like. Like, is there a higher pressure? Like, what's it feel like? And Mike McCarthy said he thought it was next week. Like, that's how little the Packers talk about and care about the trade deadline. And it's still the same today. regardless of who's the general manager. Like the Packers continue to like play by these imaginary rules put in place by Ted Thompson, and Ted Thompson isn't even fucking alive anymore. Like I think it's time to move on. I think we can do it a new way, possibly, maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't know.
I don't know.
At this point, what do we know?
I just want, like you said, Zach, the Packers should have made a move at the trade deadline, whether that be get a player, give a player, just anything.
Right.
The whole trade deadline thing, like trade deadline is supposed to be one of the most exciting parts of the NFL season for every NFL fan to see, what new player you guys is our team going to get. You know how much it sucks to go through this over and over and then just not get anyone ever, no matter what spot they are in the season?
Like, what do they have to prove, though? What do they have to prove? Or, like, what do they have to lose? Because we aren't doing shit, so...
Yeah, right, and Janet's right. The thing is, like, you're not trading for anyone and you're not winning. Maybe those two things are a little correlated.
Well, on top of that, too, what are we, $2 million over the cap already in unrestricted free agents?
Next year.
Next year. Like Jenkins, Lazard isn't, a huge guy, but we got some names up there. I mean, to your point, this is the best time. Like, Aaron Jones is making $20 million next year, like cap hit. If you're not going to restructure it, he's probably not coming back. And if he's not coming back, why is he on the team? Whatever.
Yeah, I wrote a big sort of ranty article about the Packers have no plan, direction, identity, clue, anything
it's
like
good.
that.
Everyone should go read it. It's good. Go read it.
On FlurrySports.org.
Zach's too humble to promote his own stuff, so I'll promote it for him. Go read it. It's good.
I don't think too humble the issue.
Well, there's a lot of information in there, like some of it that Trevor's talking about, but like, yeah, the Packers have, I'm just guessing, probably close to 15 unrestricted or, free agents, whether unrestricted or restricted next year. They're $2 million over the cap. To your point, Alan Lazard, free agent, Robert Tonyan, free agent, Adrian Amos, free agent. Like, he's someone for sure you could have traded at the trade deadline for something good, I think. Nijman, free agent. Chris Barnes, free agent. Keyshawn Nixon, who we just found out from Janet is very fast. He's a free agent, so he's going to run his way out of town. Sure.
The Chiefs will take it. The Raiders will take it.
Yeah, all these players, Randall Cobb, Dean Laurie, these are players who play significant roles. Jaron Reed, and the Packers are $2 million over the cap. Like, Packers are going to restructure. Again, Rodgers has 31.6 cap hit, Bakhtiari 29, Aaron Jones 20. You could save quite literally probably close to 30 million from those three alone by doing something. But again, you're asking them to take a cut. Aaron Jones is for sure going to happen because you're just going to say you're cut or whatever. But yeah, so now the Packers didn't trade any of these people away, though. So they didn't get anything. They're going to struggle next year again. They didn't get better. They didn't prepare. They didn't do any of this. They have no plan. They have no goal. And the thing that frustrates me, and people who have listened to Lombardi Sweep for a while, going back to free agency. Remember we talked about how David Bakhtiari restructured his deal again, and they do this ahead of time so they have space to make moves. But they didn't have a move, and it's frustrating. It's like, why are you doing this? The Packers have $7 million of cap space right now because of players like David Bakhtiari who continue to kick the can down the road to sacrifice for the team to make things worse in the future for the Packers cap. So the Packers are actively making their cap situation worse in the future to win now, to clear space for now, but then they don't use that space for now. They don't use it. So it makes literally no sense. Like, they make the moves financially in place to do something good, and then they don't do it good. And you wonder, like, why is that a thing? It's because the money guy is Russ Ball, and the player guy is Gutekunst. Like, how come everything goes back to Gutekunst fucking shit up? We have $7 million. That's a lot of money.
Well, no, the one debate I saw on Twitter was like, "Oh, he took over in like a 7-9 season." Yeah, and we're right back there with no
Yeah.
Super Bowl appearances, first of all. And second of all, to your point, like, okay, if the Packers didn't pick a lane at the Devontae trade, that's bad enough. But the writing is very, very clearly on the wall right now. So to not even try to salvage anything, like this is how teams like the Kings are perpetually bad because they don't trade and they never fully rebuild. If you don't embrace a rebuild, you're never going to get back to that place you need to be.
You know what's really
They
funny? My mom knows nothing about football. She married a football coach, but she does like she just doesn't know anything about it. But yeah, she knows that the Packers don't trade players. Like she said it one time. She said they don't really get rid of them, do they? And I was like,
it's a
no.
we talk about the ego of the
So it's
Packers over and
evident.
over.
Yeah, so it's evident.
They draft projects and they think they can make all of these projects good. And again, like point to one. Like don't take credit for Devontae. That was not you.
Right.
You didn't have a wide receiver coach on your roster or on the staff for a large percentage of Devontae's career. Don't point to Aaron Rodgers. Again, you didn't have a quarterback coach for a long time, and Aaron Rodgers was very good immediately, to the point that there was pressure to start him over Brett Favre immediately. You can't credit any of these people. Like you drafted some good people for sure, but you didn't create these guys. And more, like this isn't a Packers problem. It is, but like other teams do this too. Like how many players are you actively making that much better? And you can scheme players, you can put people in the right scheme. But do we credit the Vikings for making Justin Jefferson good?
No.
Because I don't.
I don't
Like
either.
none of this shit. Bengals aren't to credit for Joe Burrow. Like the only team that I think truly can only get credited is probably the Patriots. And the Patriots are now eating it as well. Like now they're bad. So I don't know.
This only works too. The bottom line too. This only works if you're good at drafting. And
Yes.
have you seen our third round? Like when your seventh is more successful than your third, that's a problem. When you have a lot of bad firsts, like one Jair does not make up for like 7 years of bad picks. Like that's not like it's
It's
nice,
bad
but it kind
seconds
of
though
works.
too.
Yeah.
Like the players, like people are. That's the thing I got pushback on. I keep talking about how we all keep talking about how terrible the third round draft pick is, and rightfully so, because it's pretty remarkable how they miss every single time that poorly. But like they keep saying, all these second round guys are pretty good. Like you talk about Josh Myers, you talk about AJ Dillon, you talk about people like that, and they're fine, but they're not difference makers. They're not great, and they're always at positions that you can find later in the draft. And the super hideable positions, the positions that you can pick up for cheap, like it makes no sense. There's no rhyme or reason or strategy for anything the Packers do, because on top of all of that, like you could have found a player better than AJ Dillon in the 6th, the 7th, undrafted free agent. But below all of that is when you spend a second round pick on a player like that, it also means you pay them more. So it's like truly you're spending a second round draft pick to pay a running back that you could have paid half the amount of money for. Like there's no, it makes
Or
no
just free
sense.
agents. There are a ton of free agents out there that can be serviceable as a second running back.
Right. But it's like, it's not even serviceable. Obviously, AJ Dillon's not very good. Sorry to break the news, but he's getting paid a lot of money. Literally, you could spend half the amount of money and have the same exact thing. It does not matter at all. Josh Myers, same thing. Like Josh Myers, you could have kept not Shredder. Who was the last? Lindsley. You could have kept Lindsley and restructured his contract in such a way to pay him pretty close to the same amount of money that Josh Myers makes. It's crazy. It's really crazy. But whatever. Gutekunst is great. He got a extension, so good for him. Good for him. Same with Matt LaFleur. Good for him. They'll be around for a while. And I said I'm going to be positive. So another positive news: Kylan Hill was activated today.
Love that.
Yeah. He might return kicks, I guess. I don't know. So
I forgot he was
Keyshawn
on the
Nixon, thanks for
team.
being fast. Take a sit. I think we dropped then Tyler Goodson, which I actually kind of like Tyler Goodson, to be completely honest. I think he's a decent player, but obviously you didn't see the
Goodson or
ball.
yeah, okay. I couldn't remember
so.
if it's Goodson or Patrick Taylor.
It was Patrick Taylor. I think we cut Goodson from the practice squad.
Yeah.
But Taylor was the active roster guy. You're right. Yeah. Patrick Taylor's also fine. But yeah, I mean, fuck. I don't know. Anything else to talk about trade deadline or the Bills game before we do a score prediction for Lions? Because I'm not sure how much there even is to say about the Lions game.
No, I mean, how much you take away from a game that you were expecting to go the way that it exactly did, you know? Like there was absolutely, I shouldn't say that. Like looking back at it, I do think that the Packers could have won that game. Of course, hindsight's is 100%. But the Bills are a really good team, and I thought the Packers put up somewhat of a fine shot against them. Like this team didn't look like they looked like against the Jets or against Washington, going 8 straight 3-0s or anything. This team looked like they were playing with at least somewhat of a purpose. Obviously, not near comparable to last year, but to see that in Week 8, it sucks. But to see it, it's nice.
I mean, go watch our score prediction YouTube video or TikTok that we talked about the last week's game. And it ends with me saying, I feel like the Packers are going to play good enough where they don't make a move at the trade deadline. And I think the Torrey touchdown was exactly that. Like, they feel good about Torrey. They don't need to go make a move at the trade deadline for a different wide receiver. And yeah. And I should have added on, and I will now. I think the Packers played good enough to let us down. Because to your point, Luke, Packers could have won that game. And going into the game, you thought they had no chance.
Nope.
So if they lost by 30, it's like, okay, whatever. But they hung around long enough to tear your heart out again, which is what Wisconsin sports always do.
Minus the Bucks. Shout out Giannis. Save it.
I know.
Great.
So I was like, I'm not even gonna. I might not even finish this game because I was falling asleep like at school the next day, and then I woke up with some sort of hope because I was like, well, they were kind of playing pretty good at the third quarter, and then I looked at the score and it was the same. I was like, no, what the heck?
Janet, I'm sorry, but when you said waking up with hope, you're a fucking fool for that. Like, come on.
Flip that.
But that's what Zach is saying. Like, we had some sort of like, oh, okay, they hung around to give us a little bit of hope, and then
exactly
they fucked it all up.
Don't do it. The Brewers, 2 best 50-game starts, missed the playoffs both year. Every sport, every time.
I mean, one play that kind of goes back to this entire game kind of fucked them. And I didn't like it when it happened, I guess, is when they went for that 4th down super early.
Yeah.
Like it seemed weird. It didn't seem like a good decision. Obviously, hindsight's 20/20. They didn't convert it, so like we can't really talk too much about it. But even in the moment, it's like it felt like there was 0 chance they're going to convert it.
Yep.
So
yeah, like I feel like you need to take. Obviously, it would have been a long field goal. I don't remember exactly where it was. Mason might very well have missed it, and maybe they would have opted to punt it anyways. But that just seems like something that the Buffalo Bills get the stop, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we got this game." Like it just sets the bar of how this game's going to go.
But yeah, so 55-yard field goal, and I agree with the fact that I don't trust Mason Crosby to make that. But then again, so why is he here? I get it. Mason Crosby, he's an unrestricted free agent. I believe after this season, he's for sure retiring. There's no chance he comes back. But it's like, at some point, take Crosby out behind the shed and let him have it. Because, like, let's get a kicker with a strong leg.
Don't say that.
Goot
Why
takes
are
him
we-
behind the shed, and Crosby takes the gun and shoots Goot. That's how that would go. Goot could even
I
do
don't-
that right.
maybe, but it's like we're embarrassing
It's
Mason
just-
Crosby.
Mhm.
We are. Like, not only does he have not have a strong leg anymore, he's kicking off, and it's not coming close to the end zone.
We're showing it off to the world. Just to
We're
be
showing it off to the world, and it's not going to get stronger as the year goes on. We're halfway. Like in week 10, every kickoff is an onside. It's going to be a nightmare. I don't understand why we do this. Ugh. I feel bad for him, kind of, but let's figure it out. Let's do something. I don't know. Okay, so Lions week. Lions traded away. I didn't even look at the spread. I think the Packers are only favored by 3.5 after the Lions were bullied out of their best player. Doesn't. I don't know how the. Why did the
Somebody on
Lions do
Vikings has
this?
dirt on them. Somebody has a tape of one of the front office guys because there's no way.
It makes no sense. They truly, it's like give us your best player, and then they did. The Packers, as a result, are only favored by about a field goal, 3.5 points. The over under is 49.5. So we're expecting no defense, a lot of points, and a close game. And I think we will get that. But fuck, man. Like, it's going to be a high scoring game, but not a good game, I think. It's going to be so sloppy.
It's going to be the most glorious bad game. It's going to be like witnessing a car crash, but like not the Russell Wilson kind. Like you can't look away.
It's gonna be like my
the-
first period this morning. I had to call like 3 parents. I had one kid on the floor throwing crayons. And he was like rolling on the floor but throwing crayons at the same time. Some other kid was grabbing a girl by the arm. No, he was throwing them at my
Gotta teach your
board.
kid a lesson.
And then I had another one grabbing another student by the arm and swinging her around. And then I had another one crying in the corner. That's gonna be this game.
I hear a future quarterback and linebacker there. So
It was literally, I'm gonna say it was 8 a.m. because I was doing attendance. That's how my day started.
Fuck that.
getting active early. I like that. Getting his steps on.
That's gonna be this game.
Looking at the injury report, so the players who didn't practice for the Packers today, which is Wednesday for those listening after the fact, Bakhtiari, Campbell, Shamar John Charles, Elton Jenkins, and Christian Watson all didn't practice. Watson's in concussion protocol. Jenkins and Bakhtiari's both a knee. It's just a rest day. Devondre Campbell's a knee. He left last game hurt, if you remember. Then Lazard, Rogers, and Preston Smith were all limited. Lazard didn't play last week. I expect him to play this week. And Rogers and Preston Smith should be good. On Detroit side, I don't think this. What's NIR?
Not IR. I don't know.
Penei Sewell didn't practice today. It says NIR-personal.
Non-injury related.
Oh, damn it.
Sorry.
I really like Penei Sewell. And he's totally just like, I don't know. He probably had like a spa day because he's like their only good player now. And Brock Wright is in concussion protocol, which is scary. Brock Wright's going to beat the shit out of the Packers this week. Mark. Oh, okay. Let me look.
He's gonna spear somebody.
He's gonna kill. He might spear Matt LaFleur, and if he does, I will take my shirt off and jump. I will streak on the field. That will make me so incredibly happy, and I will wait for some. He'll probably spear me then immediately after, and I will sue Brock Wright. But I don't even know what I was gonna look up. I don't know. But the Lions are pretty healthy, I guess. They just suck. Yeah, I don't even know. The Packers are favored by 3.5 points. They should win by more, right? I don't know. What's our score prediction? I don't know. This is such a fun game. I don't know what's going to happen.
45-42 Green Bay.
I really hope so. That would be the best.
We're all betting the over on this game, right?
Hell yeah.
I don't think so. I'd bet the under, but
I think. What's the over under at?
49
and a half.
Double it.
I like your attitude. I just think it's not going to happen. It's
Give
going to
me
be
98 points in this game.
I think
20
that's
play
very
drive
possible.
of all runs, and then it ends in a fumble.
Probably likely this game is what, 17-14?
Yeah, that's
Probably.
what I was gonna say.
It's either going to be
That's my
super low
prediction.
scoring. It's either going to be super low scoring or both teams are scoring over 33. It's either or.
Luke,
I'm
you
gonna
just
go with a
literally
really-
said my prediction.
That's what your prediction is?
Yes.
I'll go 24-23 Packers. That's what I want.
What did you say? I'm
Something
sorry.
really close.
24-23.
24-23
Okay.
Packers. What do you got, Trevor?
I'm going 34-31 Detroit. If we're going to go there and cheer for Detroit, we better believe in the damn Lions. I'll tell you that.
I don't love all
If the
that.
Lions-
Blue today, that's just good vibes, man. That's just good vibes.
If the Lions win, I want confetti, and I want us all to rush the field. I want it to
first of
be.
all,
I want them to
Dave-
do the light flickering thing. I want it to be like we just
The
upset the number one seed.
Fireworks. The
Yes.
fireworks.
I
I
feel
want
like
Eminem to come out, perform a concert.
Oh, I can get on board with that.
50 Cent come down, upside down.
Okay, if it takes the Packers to lose to get a free Eminem concert, I'm in.
There you go.
I feel like Dan Campbell has a sixth sense when somebody not supposed to be there is on his field. Like, I feel like you take two steps and Dan Campbell
He
is
sniffs.
there.
He smells it.
Like he's like one of those bears breathing down your neck. He doesn't spear you. You just turn around and there's Dan Campbell with a coffee in his hand.
I really hope. I don't know how early we're going to get to the game. I just want Dan Campbell to be the only one on the field working out. I just want him to be benching. I want there to be
Doing
a
up,
fullback out
downs.
there for some
Knowledge.
reason. Yeah.
I want him to be
Up,
doing the
down.
running ladder.
Yeah. Do it pushing a sled by himself. I want him to do it all.
With
I want
Jamal
everything
Williams
out there.
dancing.
Yeah.
If we get a picture with Dan Campbell, I can die like happy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good.
I think I said on the podcast, the FlurrySports podcast, if that happens, the show is done. I think I'm done with all of this. This has all been worth it.
Fridays is going to be fucking insane when that happens.
Oh my god, I have to move to Detroit. Luke, did you have any obscure stat for this week or no?
Do we have time to fill? Because I've been searching all show for one, and I can't find a good one.
Sure. Let's
The
talk
fact you
about.
cannot find an obscure Lion stat seems weird.
It does seem a little
Give me-
weird.
Give me a random player. I'll give you a stat. Anyone to ever play football.
I want a Jason Hansen obscure stat.
Okay, coming.
Okay. Jason
Okay,
Hansen,
While
best
we
player in
wait,
Lions history.
today is Dia de los Muertos. So today is what Coco is based on, the movie. So happy Dia de los Muertos to all my Mexican listeners out there.
Oh, I got one stat. We'll still give Luke his, but the Lions record against teams with a winning record from 2012 to 2019, every single year they won exactly one game. So
Unfortunately, can't be this week. The
Here's
Packers now, really quick. The Packers. I just looked at their regular season win total bet to see where it's set at now. It's currently set at 7.5, with the odds favoring the over. So if you think the Packers are going to win less than 8 games, you can still, get $125 on your $100 bet. But the odds are thinking the Packers kind of go on a run, which is interesting. I don't think 8 and 9 is going to be a wild card berth, but it's interesting. It's close enough to let us down and lose out on a good draft pick.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. What's your Jake Hansen stat?
That he is one of, this isn't really, crazy obscure or anything, but he's one of 2 players in NFL history to score 200 points, 200 plus points against each of his 3 division opponents.
Division.
Yep. That's obviously
makes
playing
sense.
for one team their whole career.
That's a pretty cool stat.
Jason
Did I say
Elam
the
is the
other?
other one. Jason Elam is the other one.
Oh, Jason Elam's a dog.
Ugh.
Very good.
I feel like Justin Tucker gets that eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised Adrian Peterson doesn't have that.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm curious what Mason Crosby's at. I don't know if we can, that's probably not a quick way to pull that up, but
I might be able to actually. Let me look really quick. Before we pull him out behind the shed, maybe he can get that.
Stop saying that.
I just think you got to put him down if he's got it.
It makes me so sad. No.
like really, what's the difference between Mason Crosby and Old Yeller right now?
Okay,
One of
Stop.
them can communicate.
one of them's dead, the other one's still kicking for the Packers. What was the stat for
200 plus points for against each
Okay.
division opponent.
Huh. Okay, so Crosby's included.
Okay,
Now,
so that must have been updated.
Crosby's got 222 against the Bears, 212 against the Lions, and 244 against the Vikings.
Okay.
I feel like he would have more against the Lions than the Vikings, but
I mean, Lions, he has attempted. He's only 44 of 59 for field goals against the Lions. Pretty intimidating. Vikings, he's 52 of 58. He nails those motherfuckers every time he plays them. Shows them what a real kicker looks like. He's also 88 of 89 for extra points against the Vikings.
I'm sorry.
And
I read
80 of 83 for Detroit. Was it a wrong stat?
I read the stat wrong. He became the second player to do it, Jason Hansen.
Oh.
that's still impressive.
Yep.
Wait, Elam did it before him? I'm
Yep.
a little surprised about that.
Mason Crosby has one forced fumble against a team. Do you know who it is?
Yeah, it was on a kickoff.
Broncos?
No.
Dang it. I could have.
Not
He has
Dallas.
a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery, but in different games. Fumble recovery was against the Lions, and he's got 2 yards. Good for Mason.
Huh. So that means he picked that
And-
thing up and ran with
But I
it.
remember.
Absolutely. He knows where the end zone is.
I swear I remember that. Because I remember him
I-
punching the ball.
He has a punch out. I don't know against who.
It was
Yeah.
against the Vikings.
Was it
But
on
yeah, I remember
Cordell
he-
Patterson?
Maybe that's
Could be.
what really sparked Cordell Patterson to work hard and reform his career. I think it's possible.
He just has a picture of Mason Crosby in his workout room.
Haunting his
He's like-
dreams, yeah. Yeah, he
He's like,
squats
"We're-"
with a big life-size cutout.
I know.
Final stat for Mason Crosby before we leave. He has not attempted a field goal against one team. Do you know who it is?
It's got to be an
how-
AFC team,
how-
right?
Yeah, however, he has 4 games played against them, 17 of 17 for extra points, but not one attempted field goal.
I was going to say Buffalo, but no.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
I'm
It's
gonna
got to be
go-
AFC West. Okay, not AFC West. Never mind. AFC South. Yep. See.
Jags.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
3 left.
Fuck.
It's not the
Texans.
Texans.
Yeah, the Texans.
Really?
I guess.
I find that hard to believe. Just because I remember that one game when everybody was like, "Oh, the
Yeah.
Texans are good," and then we just destroyed them.
Yeah, we destroyed him.
him.
In 4 games, he has 17 attempted extra points against them. He just never had to kick a field goal. We just always score. Remember those days?
Ah.
No longer.
Shout out to everyone sending around, and this goes to tie the show in when Zach was talking about the vets getting asked to take pay cuts. Shout out to everyone circulating that offensive line picture again. Those were good times of TJ Lang, Bakhtiari, Lindsay,
Nostalgia.
Sitton, and Blaga.
Yeah.
There's going to be a couple pictures like that, with obviously the receivers in 2011 that Sports Illustrated cover. And I feel like we've let a lot of cornerbacks go that have kind of turned into all pros. So I'm wondering when the pick is going to come around with Micah Hyde and Casey Hayward and Morgan Burnett all in the same team.
I know. And then you got the Jordan Love, Kurt Benkert, and Aaron Rodgers picture when they all turned all pros too.
Yeah, don't forget about
Crazy.
Rodgers, Seneca Wallace, or Scott Tolzien either.
Ooh. Scott Tolzien needs another chance.
Yeah, he does.
He's waiting for the opportunity to get signed.
He
by
started
the Colts
games. Again. He started games that wasn't a gimmick for the Packers. He started games with the Colts. Like, what the fuck was that?
I don't know. It was a weird spot in time.
That was Colts didn't know what the fuck was going on with Andrew Luck at that time.
And here we are. Now they got it all figured out.
Time's a flat circle. I told you on the last show.
It seriously is. Nothing has changed. This was Lombardi Sweep. We will be back next week. Maybe. If the Packers lose, I don't know.
If the Packers lose, it's the Lions podcast.
I was about to say, if the Packers lose, I just changed my flag.
Taking that Packer flag down. We're all wearing blue again, and we will not talk about the Packers until Matt LaFleur calls us personally or Goot. Either one.
I think you mean we're all wearing gray.
Not this again. Okay, goodbye.